And I'd like to welcome you all to our travel edition of our lunch club, where for the month of November, we'll be taking a look at cabins. So today, we'll be looking at a history of cabins, fun facts, some close to home, some far away. And thank you, Lou, so much for hosting. Please take it away.
Oh, great. I'm so happy to be hosting the call today. And again, I apologize. I missed last week and I missed all you guys. You're all part of my life and I always learn so much too. So, oh, by the way, I found out last week that my kids are popping out babies like crazy. So I went from one grandchild, my second one, but the same one that had the baby told me she's having a second one now.
Oh, wow, good.
Yeah,
Good news.
and then my other daughter told me that she's having a baby.
Oh, wow.
So I'll soon have three.
Well, welcome to the grandparent club.
Well, they
Yeah.
come in threes, so that's
Do
wonderful.
do they really? I never
Well,
heard that.
sometimes,
Yeah.
yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so you get
No,
three.
I
Yeah.
never heard of that. But congratulations, Grandpa.
Oh, thanks. Thanks, Brenda. I appreciate it. Thanks,
More
Charlie.
he'll be Grandpa 3.0. He's just 1.0 right
3.0,
Yeah.
And tell
3.0.
grandma she's gonna enjoy it too.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to build a cabin to hold them all. So
Yeah.
I better watch close here.
Awesome. So let's just read some information real quick after we watch this video, a brief history of log cabins in America. So this is a 2-minute video, but we're gonna deep dive in some more later on. So let's take a look.
Presidents were born in them, and American settlers conquered the Wild West in them. The log cabin is more than just a fine piece of design. It's an American legend.
The roots of the log cabin go deep into history, when Scandinavian and Eastern European settlers built homes out of available timber in 3500 BC. But it wasn't until the log cabin made its way to America that it took on a national identity. With the abundance of trees and without the need for nails, the log cabin greatly suited the early pioneers.
Surprisingly, one of the most important aspects to building a log home is not the wood, it's the location. Log homes need a lot of sunlight and good drainage.
Even after the birth of the modern American city, the popularity of the log cabin never died. The Old Faithful Inn at Yellowstone National Park is a prime example. Built in 1904, the inn is a beautiful example of the rustic architectural movement that began to overtake the country. During the Great Depression, the Roosevelt administration directed the building of thousands of lodges throughout the national parks of the West. Had it not been for places like Timberline Lodge in Mount Hood, Oregon, dedicated by President Roosevelt himself, people may have never recognized the enduring beauty of these simple structures.
Modern-day versions of the log home are still as popular as ever, especially with those who associate the log cabin with a sturdy, simple, self-sufficient lifestyle.
They may be simple in design, but sturdy they are. No matter the size or location, today's architects are enhancing the traditional style of the log cabin. Adding stonework and other complementing features, the log cabin is becoming a modern reflection of America's history. From the high mountains and snowy climates to the serenity of peaceful landscapes, the log cabin truly is an American legend.
Any thoughts on the
Interesting.
video? I love this. Look at the stonework and the log. Isn't that so interesting right here?
Mm-hmm.
I never thought of it as an American thing. I thought it was a worldwide thing.
Okay.
Yeah, Scandinavian, and then bringing that woodwork and the knowledge over here.
But I guess like Southern Europe and stuff, they didn't have many logs. And I know my travels in Africa, a lot of the trees have been cut down for firewood. So maybe it's because we had trees here.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
It-
So maybe right here, Lou.
yeah. So so this talks about it. So how do log cabins come into existence? Well, even Rome admired the log cabin. Log cabins weren't self-created, although they may feel timeless. Many believe their beginnings date back to the Bronze Age and the Roman Empire. around 3500 BC. The connection to the Roman Empire comes from a Roman architect named Vitruvius Pollio, who hints at the validity of structures resembling log cabins existing during the time. In De Architectura, his architectural treatise. In this treatise, he describes dwellings constructed by laying logs horizontally over top of each other and filling the gaps with chips and mud. Well, that sounds like a log cabin.
Isn't that amazing?
Mhm.
3500 BC, so like 5,000 or 4,500 years ago. I mean,
I would have thought the very first houses ever built would have been log cabins, to be honest with you. Because how else are they going to build them? Anyway, Scandinavia deserves the creator's credit. Oh, I didn't know that. Although the Roman Empire's architects acknowledged the log cabin's existence, they aren't credited in the log cabin's origin story as the creators of this architectural innovation. History points to the log cabin's roots beginning in Eastern Europe, specifically in Scandinavia. More specifically, the Finnish and Swedish countries are masters of this building style. So I'm Finnish, guys. I didn't even know this. Let's keep going. As popularity grew, the log cabin design swept over Northern Europe and Asia. When the log cabin finally crossed the ocean into the Western Hemisphere, it was brought to the New World, North America, by the Swedes and the Finns around 1640. Never knew that.
so
Mhm.
400 years of log cabins in the US.
Mhm.
It'll be
Never knew that.
2040 soon. It'll be 15 years. It will be 2040.
Wow.
Uh,
400-year anniversary. We should have a party here in the group.
I'm gonna speed this video up, but this is a 28 by 44 musketeer log cabin. But
So
they
is
just
this-
have videos in here, so I mean, I think it's pretty,
And wanted something,
pretty
A
gorgeous.
no-brainer when we went and visited the plant where they build them.
and I
in
had to have a
South
sunroom. That was my selling point. I always wanted a sunroom.
You can park a truck
I
on
mean,
the
look
back.
how
I mean,
big
it's
this
unbelievable
cabin
how-
is. This is New
how cold it is.
Hampshire. I
Everything
mean,
about the house is just the floor joists are fire superior to what
it's all
you
made
find
out of
on-
log.
And with the wood stove,
Wood.
that was another feature that we had.
So
down
they
Silver
covered
Valley.
it with
Chimney showed up
planks.
as in
You
the
can't
perfect
see the
spot. We had a wood
logs.
stove we purchased in the field here. We just recorded the coldest wind chill temperature ever in the United for what he had.
I wanted the rooms to be different sizes and
Oh
windows.
wow, look at this room. I mean, look how comfortable and relaxing this looks.
Mhm.
Mhm.
I love this.
I don't see the logs though.
I mean, the lighting, the area. I mean, it's gorgeous.
Mhm.
Oh, look at the bathroom.
Mhm.
I love cedar. I wonder if that's cedar.
It
Smell
looks
of
like
cedar.
cedar. I don't see
Looks
the
like
logs
cedar.
either.
Mhm.
Yeah, I love the
Look,
smell of cedar.
Oh,
mobile
here
log.
here's some they bring in already made. Plop it
Yeah.
down on your property.
Same day usually.
Yeah, that's a
Track
big
trailer truck, the size of
business.
a-
When I lived in Seattle, there are lots of companies that made pre-built
Oh,
packages. You
look
just
at
buy the
that.
package.
Everything went.
Mhm.
Day too, so
It-
it was a little
It was
scary.
nerve-wracking
Yeah.
watching it happen, but it
Yeah.
was just
Well, look at
It was
that.
amazing.
Oh
When they
my-
placed that
oh
house on the
my
foundation,
goodness.
it's done. It was incredible.
Yeah, it blows your mind.
Look at how they did the roof in and the.
Seeing it happen.
I mean, this is a modern day one, but
It's
Mhm.
really changed. Our routine has really changed
That's nice.
together. And just enjoying the beauty of the nature around us.
oh,
hiking in the
I mean, imagine living right here and
Mhm.
fishing on the lake and the dog and just sitting down and enjoying.
You catching all the fish for yourself.
I mean, this is a beautiful view right here.
Mhm.
Look at that
Yeah.
rainbow right here. I
Yeah, oh yeah, I see the rainbow.
I bet you
Mhm.
can.
Oh yeah.
mean,
I bet you can ice skate on that pond in the summer, in
I
the
mean-
wintertime.
Yeah.
there's a lot of great pictures here, but I mean, can you imagine this stuff is made out of logs and wood and nature.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You can
So
you can still find some of these in, I know, like rural Maryland. Even when we went pumpkin picking, you know, I saw some old log structures. Maybe I'll take a picture of one. I mean,
Yeah.
Okay, that'll be
Yeah.
good.
Mhm.
they're deserted. I mean, they're all falling apart, but I bet they date back a few hundred years.
Yeah,
Mhm.
again,
Yeah.
1640. So the cabin would usually have one room, and it was usually just 12 to 16. So this cabin right here was way, like twice or four, two and a half times bigger than, the original ones.
Mm-hmm.
They have those, and then this is called the dog trot cabin style later on when it first started among the northern and western settlers.
See, that's the one I'm familiar with.
Houses
there.
were a rule.
Let's take
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
looks
that
like a-
looks like a real log cabin.
yeah, back 40
Mhm.
dog trot log house.
See, that looks like
Oh, yeah.
Dog trot houses were a rural agrarian construction. Dog trot was a common term in Texas, whether or not dogs actually trotted through the space. The dog trot house is also referred to by those who lived in them as a dog run, a central porch, a breezeway, or open hall house. The floor plan was particularly popular in Texas. Historically, it traces back to Eastern Germany, Sweden, Finland, and Southeast Russia. There were suggestions that the plan had African influences. The dog trot was common in the South and Southwestern United States. It was also found
Wow, this area right here. Dog trot houses, log houses.
in Colorado, Louisiana, and the eastern Tidewater states.
Oh, no, Louisiana.
The floor plan allowed a space for mixed tasks and socializing in warm climatic regions. Assumptions that these types of dwellings were crude or backwards are out of touch with their historical realities of aesthetics and technology. Dog trot houses were built with extraordinary control over the material, had excellent design, and sometimes lavish treatments.
Well, dog trot cabins. Had 2 rooms, open hallways separating the rooms.
oh,
So there's even more examples. Saddlebag Pioneer log house cabin. Look at this style.
but that
Look at
was
this.
that was covered with clapboard. It looks like.
Mm-hmm.
There
There's
goes the
prob-
stonework.
There's probably logs underneath that clapboard.
And then added some brick onto it too.
This is
Yeah.
Ash Grove, Montana, Emma, Homestead Historic Site.
Well, Ann and others who I know you all been in some rural areas. I'm sure you've seen a lot of these out there in the fields and things. They're
Well, that
I've seen a lot
that
of 'em.
one kind of looks like the inside of my great grandparents' house,
right.
which is still that place is still standing, but they built a more modern version on the same property that's in front of that. But that's where they put the excess people when you got them there.
Yes,
love
this
it.
is, again, it's called the Saddlebag. It has a hearth and a chimney.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it progressed, continue progression, at Adirondack cabin style.
Adirondack.
Adirondack, yeah.
Oh, I've heard of those, the Adirondack cabins. I've heard of that.
Oh gosh,
Oh,
look
they're,
here.
they're crazy. They're
Oh,
crazy.
wow.
Yeah, let's see
These
some of those.
unique individuals put their signature on Sagamore as well as other
Great camps of deer. Oh my goodness. Great camps.
brought to
Yeah, that's
Oh, that's the
Relief
name of
from
this is the name of the TV special. This is a 44-minute episode of but look at this. Look at the structures.
yeah. I know. People used to vacation up there back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
I
Oh,
don't think
look
they
at
do
this.
anymore.
Gorgeous.
Yeah. That was a big deal.
Oh my goodness. Look at that. Imagine just sitting right here with the fireplace.
Yeah, peaceful.
Beautiful. They're all so unique. Oh, look at this.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's too bad that that was lost. I don't know if anybody does that anymore. They would send their kids up to camps there, and the kids got in touch with nature and things. I think that's all been lost.
Well, you know, Lou, there's a show that comes on the DIY network called Maine Cabin Masters.
Oh.
They fix up old cabins. I mean, the work they do is outstanding. It's a good show. I used to watch it It's a family
yeah.
of, it's a family, the brother, the sister, and her husband. Yeah,
Oh,
they fix those cabins up and they are beautiful.
they're making a
Mm.
comeback.
Yeah.
I
Cabin.
love those.
Yeah.
I love that.
Mhm.
um, so here's the description for the next one: The Strange Story of Lincoln's Cabins. In Kentucky, you can visit the cabin where Honest Abe grew up, or is it? Contributor investigates the unusual tale of log cabins at the Abraham Lincoln Birthplace National Historic Park in Hodgenville, Kentucky.
Oh, I didn't know there was mystery
Log
around
cabin
that.
in Kentucky, a right to ask. Visitors to a log cabin in Kentucky, a right to ask, is it true that Abraham Lincoln slept here? On the eve of Lincoln's 209th birthday tomorrow,
This
Brooke
was
Silva
about
Braga
10 years
has
ago.
our answer.
Mhm.
Yeah, right there. So I'm going to go in.
Professor Henry Gracino Mayer has come to Hodgenville, Kentucky to solve a mystery almost as old as Abraham Lincoln
Lincoln
himself.
Boyhood Home.
Someone pulls off the highway, sees you guys drilling into this cabin and says, "What are you doing here?" What do you say to them?
What we're trying to do is authenticate when this cabin was made by using the tree rings and the logs.
Some say our 16th president, born in these hills in 1809, spent some of his childhood in this cabin at Knob Creek. But did he?
This one has really nice outer curved surface down here. That's going to give us the outermost tree ring that was ever formed, and therefore it'll give us the cutting date of this particular log.
The professor and his team from the University of Tennessee have used this technique to date all sorts of old things, including back in 2004, another Lincoln cabin just down the road, the one he was actually born in. Or was he?
I think at one point there was even a plaque that said this might be the Lincoln cabin. We just didn't know.
What we do know is that Honest Abe was born here at this park bearing his name. But Ranger Natalie Barber says no one honestly knows what happened to the Lincoln cabin.
There was no cabin here. It was likely gone by the end of the Civil War. About a mile up the road was a different farm, the Davenport farm, and there was a cabin on it. And the story was the cabin had originally sat here, but was moved to that farm.
That those were the people that grabbed the logs and moved them down the road.
That's it, and that's a story you can sell. And so that's a story that they sold.
Which explains the genesis of a bizarre 1890s tour that paired Lincoln's cabin with the cabin of another Kentucky native son, Jefferson Davis, president of the Confederacy, and brought the cabins of this unlikely duo to towns and cities across America. After which, all the logs wound up in storage, until a group of private citizens decided to put the cabin back together at Lincoln's birthplace.
How did they know which logs were which?
They didn't. They had no idea.
So they just kind of threw them together.
They just kind of threw them together.
A few Davis logs, a few Lincoln logs. If they fit together, why not?
If you got a traditional cabin, there you go.
Wherever they came from, when the professor dated the logs used to build the cabin, he discovered they'd been cut when Lincoln was already in Congress.
1848. So Lincoln's cabin.
Which is why they now call it a symbolic cabin. Some visitors, like Lee Van Martin, leave disappointed.
Right. I feel kind of cheated.
You feel kind of cheated. Why is that?
It's not the real thing.
But Lincoln's importance to Hodgenville is the real thing.
You have Lincoln everything. You have the Lincoln National Bank, you have Lincoln General Store, you have the Lincoln Jamboree down the street.
Cody McDowell works at the Lincoln General Store.
Now, Lincoln's kind of our identity. That's who we are, Lincoln.
Besides, they still have the story of the other cabin, the one we showed you back at Knob Creek. It actually belonged to a childhood friend of the president's, so surely Lincoln would have spent time here.
Wow, that's a nice core.
Time to put the story to the test. Back in the lab, the researchers sand the wood to reveal its surface, then precisely measure the pattern of wide and narrow rings and try to match it to trees with established dates.
That pattern is unique, just like a fingerprint, just like a DNA match. And we have a saying, trees don't know how to lie.
The trees don't lie, but they seem to often reveal that people have been lying.
People like things to be old. It's not so much that they're lying, it's just that sometimes history gets it wrong.
This is exciting, huh?
Mm-hmm.
One little bit at a time.
Having entered all the data into a computer program,
Okay, this is it.
This is it.
they asked the truthful trees what year they'd been cut down.
1861.
Oh no.
1861.
He was already president.
That's right. Unfortunately, this cabin has nothing to do with Abraham Lincoln.
So, no, Abraham Lincoln did not sleep here or here. What changes now for Hodgenville? Natalie Barber says, maybe nothing.
People aren't turning off the interstate and coming here to experience Hodgenville because of a cabin. They're here because of Lincoln, who he was as a person, not the wood that surrounded him. It's the story and the man that's always going to drive people here.
Who knew?
Oh, that's interesting.
That was good, Alex.
Yeah, Lincoln cabin, they thought it was his cabins, but both of them
Yeah.
when he was already an adult.
So what you think? They probably tore it down or somebody stole the logs?
Something happened, but if they said you know, it was
Somebody probably stole the logs.
a lot of things could happen. It could have been not burned down, but moved, burned down. So,
Cause I think it'd be hard to burn that log. Well, not exactly, but it'd take some time to burn. You would see some traces, maybe on the ground or somewhere. That was good.
Thank you. Lincoln, cabins, America, Europe, Scandinavia, lots of history there. Lou, would you like to read some of this?
Sure. So how the log cabin came to embody the American spirit. So here we go. For many Americans, the log cabin stands as a symbol of independence and resolve, often depicted as a virtuous home of noble pioneers who bravely hacked their way through dense forests to tame the wild frontier. Yet just as centuries ago, that same humble abode was viewed with disdain. Founding Father Ben Franklin, in the 1780 letter to his grandson, described it as miserable, inhabited by people who were poor and dirty, ragged and ignorant and vicious. Dr. Benjamin Rush, the signer of the Declaration of Independence and Surgeon General of the Centennial Army, also had little affection for the frontier lifestyle. In 1786, he wrote disdainfully that the man who lived in the house made of rough logs was prone to consuming spirituous liquors as he eats, drinks, and sleeps in dirt and rags. So what happened? How did the log cabin rise from public scorn and contempt to a powerful symbol of freedom, resilience, and rugged individualism? Well, I mean, I can say that I lived through that myself. I think a lot of us have. I mean, you saw someone living in a log cabin when you were young. Those folks you thought were dirt poor.
I never would have thought that. I've always liked log cabins, but
Really? See, you're a little younger.
well,
But
that's the interesting point of view. I never had this non-inclination towards cabins. I've always thought they were cool. They were pro. So
look at the point that there were a lot of trees in America, and they were used to build cabins back in the 1700s and 1800s, because that was basically the only materials they had and the only thing they knew how to do.
Yeah,
great point. Look at you mentioned Lincoln logs. So
that's it. Yeah,
go. Young boy playing with Lincoln logs, toy set, 1950s.
You know, I actually have direct experience with one of those. Go ahead.
Yeah.
So I got some direct. We bought a house in Seattle in a rural area, and our neighbor, his name was Bob Andrelli, that guy, he was a nice guy, but man, he was a backcountry guy. He lived in a cedar dovetail joint log cabin that was tilted. And, you know, in the morning, there'd be smoke coming out. He was really old, had about a 2-foot long beard. And back in Seattle, we had people who lived like that. And they were so poor. It was unbelievable. And he used to come and look in our windows in the morning. One time my mother-in-law was with us, and she looked out the windows. You see some guy the 2 foot long beard looking at her in the window. A little spooky.
Yeah.
Mm.
Back,
Yeah,
back,
this
back,
is,
back in Seattle, they built them out of cedar, and cedar doesn't rot. So
Yeah.
those cabins lasted forever until
Mhm.
they just sort of fell over. All right, sorry about that, Alex.
no, thank you for
Yeah,
that.
that
I
was
love it.
interesting.
That's
Yeah.
good stuff.
Yeah, don't be sorry for sharing.
Yeah.
1638. That's when again first recorded log cabin. 1640. Again, it's been almost 400 years. But they were considered to be temporary at first. If you're trying to build something quick, the log cabin is really expedient, very fast. But they were cold and drafty, and the roofs weren't watertight. You didn't have window glass, and the floors were usually dirt. Plus, you had mice everywhere. Oh goodness. I mean, everything gotta has to start, right? But they started writers and artists began to romanticize, humble, humble log cabins, frontier life, log house of a pioneer, roughly hewn plank, Hudson River School movement. There's a famous painting, Daniel Boone at his cabin. The role of art in elevating this rustic, gnarly piece of architecture can't be understated. So people just kind of romanticize them in a way, which is kind of good. Lincoln Logs, Western TV shows, 60s and 70s, log cabins, they were being built again, back-to-back land movement. Wow, Lincoln Logs were introduced in 1918. So it's been more than 100 years of Lincoln Logs.
Oh, yeah, that's amazing.
Yep, log cabin. By the late 19th century, so the late 1800s, the log cabin became a widely used symbol of American grit and nostalgia. It appeared in sheet music, maple syrup containers, tobacco cans, snake oil bottles, and even in quilt patterns. So it was the people. They said people began missing the pioneer days. They heard so nostalgia, history. That's why the people love them now. Isn't that amazing?
And I just did some side research. So, we're looking at the homes of free people, but the enslaved people, it looks like log cabins were their primary source of homes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah,
It says log cabins were a type of home of enslaved people, particularly in the South, because it was cheap and relatively easy to build. However, conditions varied widely, many cabins being small, poorly constructed, lacking basic amenities. So,
we're gonna go into it. So
sorry, I got ahead of you. Got ahead of you.
we great minds think alike. So, here are maybe some things you may have not known about log cabins. So this person wrote a book, and here are some facts that they have. So, we're gonna go through some of these, not all of them.
Want me to read that, Alex?
Mm-hmm.
So no log cabins in Plymouth. We've all seen school books and Thanksgiving cards depicting cherry pilgrims building log cabins, images that cast the structure as the invention of English settlers as Americans' first true home. But that's not all bunk. The truth of the matter is that English colonists didn't live in log cabins. They didn't even know how to make log cabins. Accustomed to fine brick and frame homes back home, that's what they built when they got here. Well, not immediately. First, they slummed it with subterranean dugouts. Interesting. Waiting in the mud until planks could be cut and brick kilns fired. It was not a good look. Luckily, these ugly bits would be edited out in the centuries ahead. Interesting. So
yeah, 1638. So they knew the wooden frame because that's again what they knew from home. So
that's interesting. It's so obvious right now but I guess if you've never seen one, maybe it's not so obvious.
Or if you didn't know this fact. So again, all the Thanksgiving cards and the log cabins and the school books with, that's they know the English settlers lived in wooden frame houses.
Yeah, that's amazing. So they lived in mud pits. And so that's amazing. So let's see what the Swedes and Finns did, because those are my ancestors. Let's just roll up there once right there. Yeah.
the ones here.
So if the English didn't bring log cabins to Americans, who did? Well, we guess the subheaders here is sort of the spoils and the beans. But yes, it was the Swedes and Finns. Okay, New Sweden erected America's first log cabins. Okay, so we already knew that.
So Franklin. Oh yeah, here. I mean, this one's funny. If you want to read this one, but we've already looked at it the other article too. But
Sure.
Benjamin Franklin. Here, read this part. This is what Benjamin Franklin had to say.
Meanwhile, according to Franklin, there were two types of people: those who were well-dressed and lived comfortably in good houses, and the poor and dirty and ragged and ignorant and vicious and live in miserable cabins. Log cabins' iconic status was still a long ways off.
Again, 100 years kind of after log cabins started. Yep. This is a bit about pioneers. Okay, let's take a look at this. This is just interesting information.
Sure. So as a bonus bit of trivia, the word pioneers was rarely used in a positive context before Cooper's 1823 novel. It was previously more like its French origins, les pioneers, a military term for the first wave of soldiers in battle. On a kamikaze mission, they were the forlorn hope. French author and student of American ways, J. Hector St. John de Coursier, wrote in 1782, in all societies were offcasts. This impure part serves as our precursor or pioneers. Interesting. Pre-Romanticism pioneers were basically disposable. Post-Romanticism, they were national heroes deserving respect and emulation. Oh, that's interesting. So the people who settled the West or went off were really considered disposable.
Mm-hmm.
But it probably makes sense. Like, who would head west? You probably didn't have anything because you're going into nothing, right? So when they say when you got nothing to lose. So they were probably the folks that did it. So I guess that sort of makes sense. Or even yeah.
So why they call us dirty and raggedy and
that's what the thought was.
A lot back there. Back in that day, they had, it was people who did not have much, or farmers who lost stuff and moved towards the West.
Right.
They didn't have access to water. They didn't have stuff like we got, deodorant and sprays that spray everywhere. So you don't have an odor any place, even on your foot. So they didn't have any of that. And they had to learn how to make soap.
Yeah, I know. But it's just how they, call the people that.
Yeah.
Well, that's because
we have a lot of stuff now.
People who came here who thought they were elite, just like people now that look down on people who are not the right color and who aren't have the right amount of money and etc. So you had prejudices back then too.
Right.
Certainly.
And English were very mean, nasty people.
Well, you know what? I mean, I hate to say it, but when I was working in Africa, I mean, the way they treated people, the English were not nice. They were not nice.
We learned about the French in West Africa, so a few months ago.
The English were the worst. They were very arrogant, and they were ignorant because they were so arrogant.
Right.
And take a look at this, Lou. I think this is our last section for this part, but looky here.
Oh, that looks like some of my neighbors in Seattle. It really does, Bob. The guy, my neighbor's house looked like that. No joke. And the roof finally did collapse. Yeah, a slave cabin drawn by Edwin Forbes explodes our idealized version of the American icon. Okay, here we go. So log cabins have a dark side, and that's an understatement. While Americans like to envision cabins as the sanguine epicenter of our nation, as wonderful woodland escapes and quaint retreats, the truth is that the idolized, romanticized structure has been complicit witness and complicit terrible crimes against humanity and the environment. Log cabins imprisoned millions of slaves. Note these dismal structures were often called slave quarters, I don't even know what the word is, sobriquet that removes them from the larger, more romantic log cabin myths. Log cabins were also instrumental in the erosion of native traditions, not only in terms of proselytization, but also architecturally speaking. The log cabins played an integral role in the early mining, oil, and lumber industries. And it's not as low impact as some people imagine.
Mm-hmm. So let's take a look. Story of freedom told through log cabin built by former slaves. This is Montgomery County.
Oh, really? Wow, that's
4 years ago.
I wonder where that is.
There were always big gatherings and family reunions.
Chanel Kelton has tons of memories of growing up in this home.
Like, this is the African American History Museum right here.
In 1875, it was the first house built in what became the free African American community of Jonesville in rural Montgomery County, Maryland. Named Jonesville for the brothers who built the house, Richard and Erasmus Jones. Paul Gardulo is the museum curator who helped acquire the house in 2009. He says it tells a fundamental story that's been forgotten in America.
About African Americans' visions of freedom and their realizations of freedom in the period immediately following the Civil War, something that we know as Reconstruction. And to me, this house was a tangible symbol of that period.
Called the Freedom House at the museum, it also carries the title of being the Jones Hall Sims House, named for the families who lived there for more than 100 years. Kelton recalls the love she shared here with her grandparents, Paul and Barbara Sims, and of her great-great-grandfather, John Sims.
It's an honor to have been able to meet him and to have him in my life and to recall, memories. I can remember him in what we would call in the house the old kitchen, making flapjacks.
Over the years, Kelton's family members and other artisans in the community helped put additions onto the house.
They all were builders. They all worked with their hands. They all were in some type of trade, field, construction.
The house was stripped of those additions in order to move the cabin to the museum. Gardulo says the men who built the house did so on the property where they were formerly enslaved.
That original 2-story high log house that two brothers, along with their community, built that day as a symbol of their freedom, that they were standing tall in the world. And it quite literally did that. It moved them upstairs.
Being upstairs also offered them a chance to keep watch over the land and protect themselves from people who did not want them to be free. A feature of the house that both Gardulo and Kelton marvel at to this day, the stairs.
You see the grooves of the people's feet that landed, their footfalls landing on those stairs over generations.
It wasn't no walking down those steps. We stomped. I know I did.
People from Jonesville joined with other African American communities in places like Martinsburg or Jerusalem, which are now in modern-day Poolesville, to worship, socialize, and go to school. This cluster of buildings reflects the work that Blacks did to build institutions in the aftermath of the Civil War as sources of strength, education, spiritual sustenance, and protection. Kelton hopes that anyone who hears this story sees more than a cabin or a house.
You can feel and you can sense the strength, the determination, and the perseverance that they had.
Lisa Robinson, WBAL TV 11 News.
If you've never been there, you need to go.
That was interesting.
Have you been there, Ann?
Yeah. Yes,
Anna,
I have.
you've been, oh, you've been there?
Very interesting.
Mm-hmm. It's
Yes.
again, some cabins were, built by formerly enslaved people, and they use that as a symbol of strength, even down to today.
I'm looking at a cabin
And
near my daughter's house
if
called
I'm
the
not
Oak.
mistaken,
Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
no, you go ahead, Lou. I was just gonna.
Oh, no, there's a cabin near my daughter's house in Olney. It's an African American log cabin called the Oakley Cabin. If you ever get up, if you ever get just a little bit by Olney, if you know where that is. Yeah, it's worth seeing. It's on the original site still. Anyway, go ahead. Go ahead, Ann.
Here's
I was
another.
just gonna. There's some cabins that I'm not sure on Washington's estate if they are their original cabinets or they are rebuilt them, but they are the replicas of some that were down there, because some of the Quanders, who are big time in Washington D.C. and have helped built the Catholic churches, a couple of Catholic churches, and one of them was a judge. He just died. He was like a brother to me. That family, the Quander family, my father went to school with some of them, the older ones. So, but they also have cabins down in Virginia, around on the other side of Culpeper and down near Flint Hill.
Okay.
And a place called Little Washington. I don't know when they widened the road and made the big hotel down there, if they destroyed that, but it used to be a little old cabin, and it used to be a little old lady and man that lived in it. And this is when I was younger. And when you got there, you knew that you were in near Flint Hill and Massey's Corner and near Washington, Little Washington.
Thank you for sharing, Ann. Anyone else like to share anything else? We want to hear a lot of voices. We have a lot of folks on. Any thoughts for the videos? Again, we took a look at some fun facts. We looked about, Black history and log cabins. We've taken a look at a lot of different things. Any thoughts? Please, we'd love to hear from you guys. Okay.
Alice, one just quick thing. When Ann mentioned the slaves' quarters in Mount Vernon, actually, those were the slaves' quarters. The reason I'm saying that is because there was a recent discovery in the news. Remember that, Ann, like a year ago? And I just looked it up. It said such as excavation of the subfloor pits. So they dug the floor out of some of these cabins, and they're filled with personal items, identification of plant and animal remains that indicate their diet. And the discovery item is like Chinese export porcelain plates and Collinware bowls.
Yeah.
So those are the actual houses that are still there. All right.
Thank you for sharing. We have another iconic log cabin here in Baltimore. This is one of the most recognizable historical places in Howard County. Old Town Ellicott City is the subject of many books.
Have you guys ever been to Old Town? Anybody? I love that town. That town is incredible.
Old Town Ellicott City is the subject of many books, history lessons, and a lot of lore. But there's a new book out, just published, that's adding new facts to the narrative.
When I started doing a little poking around, I said, oh dear, thing. And again, I knew and understood with the structure and what it has always meant for the community and the symbolism of it. I knew that if I was going to just do anything to disturb that I probably needed to have help, probably needed to have some other people with me.
So Marlena Giroux enlisted Wayne Davis and Christine Boble to help research the structure, the Thomas Isaac log cabin that sits on Main Street at Ellicott Mills Drive. It commemorates the early stages of European development in the Patapsco River Valley.
We just started with a clean slate. The narratives that we had heard already needed all to be investigated from scratch. We needed to verify everything with primary source information.
The cabin's namesake, Thomas Isaac, a white man. But the three authors say they discovered new information that ties the cabin to Howard County's Black history.
This isn't the original location for the cabin. It was moved in the 1980s, and Thomas Isaac isn't the original owner. The cabin was actually built here along Merriman Street in 1851 by the true original owner, Levi Gillis.
Gillis was a free mulatto man who purchased the land from another free black man for $100.
But when Levi sold it to Thomas Isaac, he sold it for $400. That's the aha moment. Marlene and I were talking, and we both said, the only way he can buy it for $100 and sell it for $400 is he improved the land. The only way to improve the land is put a structure on it.
This was during the time of slavery, with slave auctions at the old Disney's Tavern and the courthouse within view of the Gillis house, leading the research team to another revelation.
There was this, a number, not a large number, but a number of free blacks living, working, being owners of property, being owners of business, working together during this time.
The book, Early Ellicott City Black History, explores the history of the Gillis family and the cabin, along with a near lynching there within the context of history.
We just want this to be celebrated, uplifted, and to give new, exciting history for a time period that help people have a better understanding of what happened here, right on the ground where our feet are walking today here in Howard County.
They're hoping it inspires another generation to reach for the truth and appreciate the history around us.
Again, history and doing your due diligence, you can discover some things that, are new or you may have not thought have happened. So Ellicott City to Howard County.
Yeah, I've been to Ellicott City, and it is very much a quaint little town. And in fact, my niece works at one of the restaurants there. And it's not far from Catonsville, which is just outside Baltimore.
Yeah.
I grew up in that area, what's known as Catonsville. Ellicott City now has had some terrible flooding. For some reason, the ecology of the place makes it susceptible to flooding, and they've had some very devastating floods within the last few years, in fact. But it's worth visiting in Howard County. I love Howard County anyway.
Yeah, the Ellicott City has a lot of history to it too. Don't you think, Louise? Or is that Yvonne?
This was Yvonne speaking. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, don't you think they have a lot of historical things going on there?
Absolutely. And there are lots of little shops, antique shops, and it's a very quaint little city, only about, I guess about 30 minutes from DC. It's that far.
Yeah, you're right. It's about 30 minutes.
Yeah, I'll share some pictures of that. What I like about Ellicott City is back in the day, that's, power used to come from falling water. So the Patapsco River loses elevation there. And all the old mills were built along the Patapsco, right in the area of Ellicott City. So if you ever have a chance, you can wander along the Patapsco, and you find these. I'll show you some pictures when Alex lets me share. You get the ruins of cities, of villages along the Patapsco. It's incredible, but it's a little spooky because some really shady characters are living out there.
Yeah, you're right.
Always got to be fit, right?
Yeah.
So,
go ahead, Alex.
No.
Is that you playing or me playing? I hear music. I hear noise.
Where's
that noise coming from?
I don't hear anything, Lou.
Must be on my side.
Yeah. So I have one last video for us. So when I was thinking about log cabins, I was thinking about, hey, what is the oldest one? So have you all ever heard of the North Nagle cabin?
The North Nagle cabin?
It's
No.
thought to be the world's or America's oldest log cabin built between 1638 and 43. It was put on the National Register of Historic Places in 1976. Let's learn about it.
Never
This
heard of it.
log home in America is located
Where
in
in New
South Jersey.
Jersey?
It has a pretty crazy backstory, and it was
Oh,
listed for
right.
sale in 2023 for $2.9 million. Let's check it out. The Nothnagel Log Cabin is located in Gibbstown, New Jersey, and it was built between the years 1638 and 1643 before the U.S. was ever founded. And as you can see, these are recent pictures, and the owners over the years really tried to preserve the original look of the home, and how this home was constructed is pretty crazy. The cabin was constructed by Finnish settlers in the colony of New Sweden, and they even used some of the ironware for the fireplace that dated back to the 1590s. Now, the way they constructed this home was pretty crazy. They used a dovetail construction method, which required no nails. So on the original structure, there are no nails that were used during the building of the cabin. And as you can see, the original cabin measures 16 by 22 feet, which indicates that the builders were relatively well off, as the average size dwelling back then was 12 by 12 feet. And they even had a couple logs that were removable from the cabin to provide ventilation in the summertime, because you know South Jersey summers can get very crazy. The property was bought in 1968 by Harry and Doris Rink, who owned it up until 2023. And they bought it because they recognized the historical significance of the home, and over the years they
Pretty
even
big,
used
right?
old school techniques to maintain the property, including using a specific clay to put in between the logs to keep it preserved and keep the ventilation intact. After Harry passed away, Doris realized that she couldn't maintain the property the way that she wanted, and so she ended up putting up for sale in 2015 for $2.9 million, hoping that she can find someone that would appreciate the history and willing to make such a big investment. Now, over the years, she wasn't getting many bites and ended up selling it in 2013 for just $135,000. But fortunately, she sold it to a local gentleman who really appreciated the history of the property and promises to maintain it, moving forward. If you're ever in the South Jersey area, I would highly suggest visiting the Nothnagel Log Cabin.
Nothnagel Log
Alright,
Cabin.
Alex.
The Nothnagel Log Cabin in Gibbstown, New Jersey, is the oldest of its kind in North America. Harry and Doris Rink have cared for the cabin since 1968, and Harry is currently in the process of fixing cracks in the walls using clay from a Salem County farm. The process is one that's similar to those the original Finnish settlers used on the building. Tours to Nothnagel are always free, and the Rinks welcome any visitor to come by.
Wow.
Still, it's still here. Almost 400 years later, it's
Wow.
still here.
That's amazing.
I mean,
Alex, I got to get to show my Lincoln Log video. It's only 1 minute.
there are 2 minutes from one, so perfect time. And I hope you all have enjoyed our session today so far.
Absolutely.
Alex, that was incredible, Alex. Absolutely
Mhm.
incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely
And
incredible.
it was good talking to you about something that both of us knew about.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it, Alex.
Thank you so much.
Looking forward to the rest.
Yeah, next week, another new topics.
So much for
Here's Lincoln Logs.
Oh yeah, sure. Redwood Junction.
Okay, can
Yeah.
y'all hear it? I forgot to share the audio. Can you hear it?
No, Lou, it's fine.
I can't hear it.
Mm-hmm.
I remember
I
those
remember
now.
them.
Yeah,
me
I'm
too.
beginning to remember.
But I
I
never
forgot
had
they
it.
were called Lincoln Logs.
I think you used to get them at Toys R Us too.
Yeah.
Or you order them from.
Look at the instructions.
I think you could order too for Spiegel catalog and stuff. They had them.
Yeah.
They
Okay.
probably still have them. So
And guys, I got one more thing I want to show you, and then I'm done. Here we go. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I got to show you this. So I really took to the Patapsco River for one summer, and I really explored it pretty good. And this is the town of Alderton that I discovered. So check it out. It's in the woods. Can you all see that?
Yes.
Look at these ruins. It's a whole city. It's all in ruins.
Oh.
And it's a really spooky, and there's some really shady characters living out there.
Mm.
Yeah, and you got to get around this fence right here. I rode my bike. It's about 3 miles up this gravel road, and then you see all these structures. Look at that. It's a whole village.
Yeah.
And what's neat about the Patapsco River is that it's loaded with this stuff, because the original industrial revolution in America, to some degree, was along the Patapsco River. And so they have all these deserted towns and ruins, and even to this day, it's like they're left behind. You know, nobody's rediscovered them and made them famous or anything. So they're all there for you to discover on your own.
Oh.
But bring a friend though, because it's a little spooky.
This is Daniel.
Sure.
Yeah.
Bring your 45.
Yeah, right.
Well, thank you so much, Lou, for hosting today, and we'll be here
Yeah.
next week for another cabin session. So let's all thank Lou so much for wonderful hosting.
All
Thank you,
right,
Lou.
thanks
Thank
everybody.
you, and
I had a blast. I had a blast. I miss you
Thank you,
guys.
Lou.
I
Really
I missed you
enjoyed it.
guys. I missed
See
you
y'all at
guys.
1:30.
Yeah, we missed you too.
Lou.
All
Thank you
right.
so much for
Thanks a
hosting.
lot.
today.
I'll
Thanks,
see y'all
Lou.
next